My wife says you look like a young Bill Clinton.
A young Bill Clinton. I always get Stifler, but okay. Why the USTA? Why now?
And I much prefer to make a decision that's wrong than not make a decision at all. I've kind of lived my whole life like that, and I'll have no problem taking big swings again. I would love to walk every street across America, and I will know that people in that town are all playing tennis. That's not a dream, that's a reality, and we're gonna get there.
No pressure, I hope you pull it off.
The question is, are we losing opportunities for some of our American youth who are not ready to go out on tour? You were ready at 17. You were an outlier there. There were many of us who needed to play college tennis. You look at John Isner among many players who needed those 4 years.
John Isner needed to go to school.
Yeah.
Clip it, Mike, send it out. Is the tennis season too long? You go to 20 people and they go, yes, 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 yes. Can't we fix it? I don't know.
So I actually think it's a bit of a crisis. I think that we got to lean in big time.
AI is only as powerful as the platform it's built into. That's why it's no surprise that more than 85% of the Fortune 500 use the ServiceNow AI platform. While other platforms duct tape tools together, ServiceNow seamlessly unifies people, data, workflows, and AI, connecting every corner of your business. And with AI agents working together autonomously, anyone in any department can focus on the work that matters most. Learn how ServiceNow puts AI to work for people at servicenow.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to Served, presented by ServiceNow. We have JW in Paris, me here in Charlotte, and Andy is at Augusta. He is taking a Monday to go to the practice round. John, have you ever been to Augusta?
I have. It's no Wimbledon, but it's pretty great. And good for Andy. Tennis needs practice rounds. We got practice courts. We need practice rounds.
Yeah, I do. The practice rounds are pretty sweet. I've been to a few practice rounds of some tournaments, and it is nice to see. It's cool to see the way they angle, the course and how they're studying it. But I don't know. I think our fan weeks are getting pretty awesome.
We love Wimbledon though. I mean, Augusta's great. Don't bring your phone. That's rule number one. I have a friend of mine who's literally accosted and almost evicted for having his phone go off. Wimbledon's got the whole tradition thing going, but it also is kind of fun. I would say it's like a minor league baseball game meets the Masters. But no, the Masters is great. Good for Andy. This is an excused absence. We'll get some stories for him when he comes back.
Well, in this episode, after the break, we actually took over the USTA's annual meeting. We were invited down there, and we interviewed the new CEO, Craig Tiley. Also sat down with current co-CEO or interim co-CEO and President Brian Vahaly. So it was a pretty awesome conversation. That is after the break. But before we get to that, John, we have some headlines from this past weekend. The Charleston Open wrapped up, and one Jess Pegula defended her title in dramatic fashion, huh?
I love this week. We said we'd do this in 10 minutes, so let's be really fast. But I think this week is so great because, this is not one of the marquee weeks of the year. These are not huge, big events that tend to draw, neither number one was in action. You didn't have Center Alcaraz. What you have, though, you had a lot of great stories. And we talk about tennis as this reality show, as a script. There were a lot of great B stories here. So Jess Pegula into Charleston with all of that prize money, that bump. And she's just become such a reliable winner at this stage in her career. She had a lot of tough matches. She had a less tough match in the final. Shout out to Yulia Starodubtseva. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Per the WTA website, this is someone who was teaching. She was a teaching pro at a Westchester Country Club. Played at Old Dominion University. She's Ukrainian. There is so much to this story. She was the finalist. She now has more than $200,000 that she can invest in her career. She's close to the top 50, but this was a Jess Pegula title defense. She was so she's just emerged as the sort of moral center, I feel like, of the WTA. She just be like commissioner of tennis. She wins a lot of matches. She comports herself like an adult. There's tremendous self-awareness. Another title. She's become so reliable. But I love the story of Yulia Starodubtseva as well. Another college player making her marks, another Ukrainian player making her marks, and the fact that she had a GoFundMe to try and sustain her tennis career now is closing in on the top 50 is a great story.
Over in Morocco, we had a young player, 19-year-old Rafael Jodar, win his first title in only 7 professional tournament attempts. How incredible is that?
Yeah, it's about time Spain had a decent player come through the ranks. We've kind of gotten thirsty there. No, Jodar's one of these sort of he's a purist. If you this is the niche band that's starting to make it big. It's coming from the underground. A UVA commit. This is a very talented player who now he's 19, doesn't turn 20 till after the U.S. Open, and is closing in on the top 50. He has a title. He beat Trungelliti, who hardcore fans again will know as this is someone who I think it was 2018. Someone check me on that. But he at the last minute he got told he was actually in the French Open draw as a lucky loser. So he and Grandma got in the van and drove to Roland Garros and then toasted each other on the court with a beer. Sort of great. I think Brett Haber called him Truck Stop Trungelliti. Might be my favorite.
That's amazing
nickname. Credit Brett Haber. 36 years old. He also more seriously he was a whistleblower in some match fixing allegations, and there are stories you can go find about how he really was sort of ostracized in the locker room. Here he is, 36 years old. I think you said this, right? In his first time in the top 100 at age 36?
Yes.
Now he's top 100?
Yeah, he's the oldest player to make a debut in the top 100 since 1973, Open era.
We have a 19-year-old Spaniard who went to UVA, who's a clear talent. This is someone who people who follow tennis closely have been following this career. This is a really bright prospect. He's playing a guy from Argentina, nearly twice his age, in Morocco. I love the sport. So yeah, again, B stories is our theme of the week. But Rafael Jodar from Spain is a player worth watching. He's like 6'3", so he's got the height, and he's like $150. So you sort of wait till he fills out and hits the ball even cleaner. But no, this is a really blazing talent, and now he has a title to his name.
And then back here in the States, Tommy Paul won in Houston, saving 3 championship points, down 3-5 in the third set. What do you make of this win for one Tommy Paul?
I was surprised. This is first clay court title, but wasn't it like 10 days ago that we were talking about Tommy Paul and he had that match against Arthur Fils in Miami and what kind of psychic damage was going to come of it, a match he really should have won and let slip away. He even referred to it as PTSD. The PTSD did not last long. He goes to Houston, beats Francis 7-6 in the third, and then in the final staves off those match points against Roman Burruchaga. Who is he? He is a 24-year-old from Argentina. I did not know this until I started playing around on the Google machine, and Wikipedia tells me that his father scored the decisive goal in the 1986 World Cup final. Remember with Diego Maradona? You guys are too young. This is one of the great moments of 1980 sports, and his son is now a tennis player who very nearly is winning. But good more to the point about the winner, Tommy Paul, really does a nice job putting that Miami disaster behind him, gets a clay court title, and looks like he's really back in form. It's been sort of an injury beset year for the past 12 months or so for Tommy Paul, and now he looks really good heading into European clay.
This actually kind of wraps up. We put a poll question out last week after Taylor Fritz announced that he wouldn't be playing in Monte Carlo and possibly maybe miss the whole clay swing. We asked which American man could be the new disruptor on clay. We asked Tommy Paul, Francis Tiafoe, Lerner Tien, or Alex Mickelson. And Lerner Tien led the voting with 43%, saying he would be the next disruptor. But Tommy Paul was at 42%. So I think maybe it's trending that the Tommy Paul fans were the right choice.
So that came in before Houston, right?
Correct. Yeah, that was last week.
All right. So the aforementioned Burruchaga beat Lerner Tien, and then Tommy Paul beat him. So he also got Tommy Paul got an indirect victory over Lerner Tien in the process. I'd say that's probably 1-2. You want to tease Craig Tiley, and when the USTA is successful converting college players to become U.S. citizens and play for the United States. Now I'm just trolling. Now I'm just agitating. All of these college players like Jodar.
We did talk about that some with them, so you'll find it after the break.
No, I think Tommy. To your question, I think Tommy Paul does indeed move ahead as the bright American star headed into European clay. Do we hit 10 minutes? Are we good?
Oh, well, I have one more question for you because we're doing good.
Shit.
We're doing good. We're close.
Right.
We're close. But we had Francisco Roig dump Perricard this week and move over to Iga's camp. And Perricard this morning had some statements released saying that he was kind of blindsided and that he found out from his agent. What do you kind of make of this story? And it's kind of to set up our poll question for this week. But what do you make of this story?
You know how Breakpoint didn't really pan out as reality TV? Mm-hmm. Can we take another stab at this and just do player-coach relationships? This is great drama. It's personalities. It's dueling accounts. It's multiple truths. Remember, ironically enough, Francisco Roig was sort of dismissed summarily by Emma Raducanu in Australia. That was not the cleanest break, where she went into press and basically said he's He's trying to turn me into a loopy European clay quarter. Francisco Roig from the Rafa camp now is back on the bag. Perricard, who I believe, I don't know when I need to confirm this. There was a rumor here in France anyway that he was now with Greg Rusetsky. A lot of coaching drama. We haven't even talked about the other French coach with Gilles Servara and Vahaly. Go down that rabbit hole. Actually, I have this in front of me. We're going to break our time limit, but this is such a great coaching announcement. I had to read this on the air, if I may. Bear with me here. You know, you have these sort of. It's like a breakup. You know, this is like the emails you get from friends who's having marital difficulties, and we support each other, but we're going our own ways. And so here's Gilles Servara. This is irreconcilable differences. It is not with pleasure that I've decided to end up my mission with you. I'm not sure I've ever seen that before, but yeah, it's a big week for coaching drama. So Gilles Servara, a very talented coach, longtime coach of Daniil Medvedev, he's now available. There are a number of players looking for coaches. There are a number of high-profile coaches available. Again, you can watch this as a 6-part streaming series coming to Hulu soon.
Well, John, that's actually because our poll question reads as this. What do you think about this all playing out in the public eye? Is it A, good, fans deserve to know, B, bad, it's a private working relationship, C, inevitable, this is how everything works now, or D, just straight awkward, it puts pressure on both sides? That is a poll question we have out on our newsletter, across our social channels. Go find it out, cast your vote, and we will read the results to Andy next week, because we know Andy has an opinion about this 100%. So that's it, John, we did it. We're 10 minutes.
All right. I love it. Big week in tennis. Now we've got Monte Carlo, and this was fun. We get Andy back. We get Master Stories. This was just priming the pump. And take it away, Craig Tiley.
AI is only as powerful as the platform it's built on. With the ServiceNow AI platform, your AI, data, and workflows all work together, connecting every corner of your business. To see how you can put AI to work for people, visit servicenow.com/AI-agents.
Welcome to Served. I am Andy. As you can tell, we are not in the normal basement studio. We got people, producer Mike.
Lots of people.
There are people here.
Lots of people.
Hi, everybody. You can hear them. You can hear them. It's my pleasure. We are at the 2026 USTA Annual Meeting and Conference, and some of the best tennis people in the country are here supporting. They've been ripping it for 4 or 5 days. And we have the incoming CEO of the USTA, somebody I've known and respected for a very long time, Craig Tiley on Served, as well as the man to his left. I don't know, there's a lot of job titles to remember with what you got going on right now. It's like president, chairman of the board, co-CEO. So you guys co-CEO, or how does this work now? What's the, not to make it weird right away, but what's the org chart?
I'm waiting for him to start.
How's this work?
So I can get rid of that title.
Okay. Brian Vahaly, a dear friend of mine for a long, long time. We used to play together. I don't want to brag. I've already told this audience, but we beat the Bryans one time.
It's kind of a big deal.
It's a very big deal.
Big deal.
Not a lot of people can say that. I mean, I did it with many people.
That's quiet.
Yeah, okay.
Keep it moving.
All right, Craig. So you are on a. Are you well rested right now? What's your situation?
Yeah, I'm well rested.
You've been here a day?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I mean, I've been here less than it took to get here. Okay. But we're getting there.
I want you to tell, just to level set, and it's not just conferences with fun people where, you know, we're learning stuff, we're talking, we're communicating, and then all of a sudden we're trying to get to that first cocktail. You told me a stat backstage that you've kept track of how many miles you've traveled while you were working for Tennis Australia.
That was 20 years,
What was that number?
A little over 7 million.
7 million miles traveled.
I think I can probably fly the plane, but I wouldn't. But yeah, it's been a lot of travel. I mean, it's an island at the bottom of the earth.
I know where it is. Yeah, I've been there too.
I know, a few times.
Let's get to it, right? From kind of the inner circles of tennis, there were rumors, right, that we were looking for someone, and you know, your name was bubbling up, and I'm going, I hope that is the person that that they can convince you to take the job. Well done, Brian.
Thank you.
Why the USTA? After all the success you've had in Tennis Australia, like that sunset must have looked really close, right? Like, why the USTA? Why now?
Well, I would like to start by actually saying it started way back when Brian was a junior player. And I started at the University of Illinois, and I was trying to get the best junior players to come to Illinois, and it didn't really happen because we weren't very good. And he kind of blew me off in the recruiting process. And so I promised one day I'd get him back, and here we are. But why? Look, I mean, there's a couple of things. One is that I just see a massive opportunity in US tennis right now. There's a long-term vision. There hasn't been that ever, and I think we're in a great position. That the game's growing, and the people in this room, as you said at the beginning, are the people that are going to make it happen. So I saw tremendous upside. There's a way that the US, again, could lead the world when it comes to participation, getting people to play the game, getting people to perform well in the game. And I've been very lucky. The years I had at Tennis Australia, I think I had every possible job under the sun. And it has been magnificent. It just came that time where everything aligned and went for it.
You have this tendency to take big swings, they end up working, and then you go and take a bigger swing at something. Whether it's you said you were not very good at Illinois. You won national titles at Illinois, and I could name 20 people who you would know from tour that he coached there. So starting off with being self-deprecating, but then the work you've done with Tennis Australia and kind of the working. I mean, what it was when you joined versus what it is now. Talk about that progression. And from where I sit, it looks like you were constantly trying to peek around the corners, right? Not just taking traffic that comes to you. It's a Grand Slam. I enjoyed it when I played there, and it's nothing like it is now. Is that something that is natural to you, or is that something that you have to kind of force a little bit?
I mean, I think the first thing is you learn from everyone. You probably don't know this, but I've learned things from you. And he's getting nervous now. One of the first things.
Was it beer pong?
Well, it's not too
Breaking
similar to that. But one of the things was in 2007. I just started as the tournament director, and in 2007 I walked into the media room, and you did an interview right after the semifinals with Roger Federer, and I watched you and I listened to that interview, and I thought, that's exactly how you deal with the media. You just don't answer the questions they ask.
So that's how you got through January. Craig, is it true that you're leaving for the USTA?
That's exactly right. So when the media would ask a question about January, I would talk about women playing 3 out of 5 sets, and suddenly the conversation changed. So, look, I think in all seriousness, taking big swings. I'm a big believer in going for it, and there's a risk in everything that you do, and just take the risk. You won't know the outcome unless you take the risk, and I much prefer to make a decision that's wrong than not make a decision at all. So I've kind of lived my whole life like that, and I've been very lucky. I've been around great people. Tennis Australia, I was fortunate there. There's a great team we put together, and it's not going to be any dissimilar here. There's a great team in place, and there's a lot of magnificent things that are happening. And I got to build on the legacy that Andrew and Brian have already started. So I'm looking forward to that.
Brian, talk about the process. Talk about, for those of us who don't know, and I've never been part of like a search committee, like you've seen how unprofessional our team is. Walk us through the process, the narrow down, or was it, we want him and let's work backwards from a no?
Well, Craig knows this, but this was dating back to 2020. I sent him an email when we didn't have a CEO at the time. I have been hunting Craig for six years. And so to say he's one of the best CEOs in our sport would be an understatement.
Sure.
So I always knew he was somebody I was excited to talk to, engage his interest, would now be that time. But listen, this is a really exciting job, and we conducted a global search. We had people from all sports who were interested, not just in the tennis ecosystem. So really trying to think through, where are we as an organization? What do we need right now? But I'll tell you, and I believe you called the hire a no-brainer. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to find a better fit and a better person for us in this moment than Craig. And so, yes, we always had our eyes out. I was incredibly thrilled that he was interested, but it was part of a massive search. We had a lot of interested candidates. Listen, the US Open is at all-time highs. who doesn't want to be responsible and a part of the US Open right now? But you also have to understand this job is complicated. It's not just the US Open. We're trying to grow tennis players in America. And so we've got a candidate in front of us who not only knows how to run an event of this magnitude, but has grown tennis in Australia by 30%. So just at the end of the day, it's really hard to touch or to beat a candidate as strong as Craig.
One thing I've always wanted to notice, because I have other questions, but we'll lead into it since you mentioned player development. Listen, I know a lot about tennis. I can watch a match and tell you what's happening. I know my own personal journey. I wouldn't have a clue on how to develop players at scale, right? The thing I've always wanted to know is because some people are like, okay, invest. When I came up, it was like invest in some. You were on the national team. I got kicked off the national team. True story.
Once?
Sorry?
Once?
Yeah, they didn't let me back. But is it breadth? Is it depth? And the thing that I always want to know that I never really hear an answer to is if you're doing something with 14 and 15-year-olds, you won't know that result for 10 years. So how do you make strategic decisions if something's working or not 4 years in?
Listen, it requires a lot of patience when you look at this. And I think I really applaud. We have a new general manager, Tracy Davies there, and she's really trying to take Tracy's, talk about people you've had tenure with. I've known Tracy for probably 32 years. But she's really taking a data-driven approach. So really looking historically, what have our best athletes needed at what point in their career? How can we best help an athlete throughout their journey? I think oftentimes you look back to, as you and I were growing up, your needs and how successful you were at 17 and 18 looks very different than other athletes. And so I applaud her for leveraging data to think about where to put our dollars. Secondly, understanding that each player is very, very different. And so you may need to think about a mental performance coach or something. Maybe you're looking to hire a new coach that we can support you with. Other players want to come down to Lake Nona. And I think it's on us to not only continue to invest because American champions lead to higher ratings and more people playing tennis. So it's always going to be important. But I think for us, really being transparent about how we can help. Because oftentimes that's, I think, been the real opportunity for us in player development.
I love to hear that, like kind of meet the players where they're at, because I had a moment in time where I got kicked off the team, and then 4 months later, I won Orange Bowl and Australian Open, and I was like, okay, great, like fund me. And they said, well, you have to be with one of our coaches. I said, then don't fund me. So that worked.
You got to be flexible. You have to understand what you need. What is it that Andy Roddick needs at that moment?
Beautiful.
Let's show up that way, and then understand other athletes and other players are going to look different.
There is such thing as funding a good situation, which is fantastic. Imagine? So I'm happy to hear you say that. Craig, there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of attention. There's a lot of opinions about tennis reform. There's some people that are cosplaying as agents of change. Yeah. How do you get through when you look at scheduling, calendar, prize money, which is going to be something that it's coming down the chute for you, player wellness, all of these things? How do you prioritize and how do you create timelines for accomplishments in these areas?
That's a big question.
Start anywhere.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not going to shy away from the fact that when at the top level of the game, I've always believed that from a players and a player health perspective, there needs to be a legitimate off-season and a season of preparation, and it's on the decision makers in the sport to make that happen. To get the decision makers together to make that happen is a very difficult task. So that has to happen, and at the same time, for us to be truly a global sport, we need to build a narrative both commercially and from a player's perspective that everyone knows where the players are going. You know what the 4 Grand Slams are, but does the general audience around the world know what happens in between them and where the players are? You can't really understand it. So I know there's good people working towards it, but we've got to move quicker to make that happen. And so that at the top level of the game, if a young kid can see aspirationally what they need to do, what the story is, what it means year round, they get an off season, it becomes more interesting and more enticing to pick tennis as a sport that you want to play. And so I'm not going to shy away from that narrative, and I'll keep beating the drum on shifting that, and I'll probably be right in the thick in the middle of it trying to make it happen. I'll have no problem taking big swings again.
No pressure. I hope you pull it off. But when the answer is like, is the tennis season too long? And you go to 20 people and they go, yes, 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 yep. Yes, yes. Can we fix it? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly right.
Not sure.
Yeah.
One of the things I want to get your opinion on because of your history, actually both of you, with you playing college tennis and with you having coached it, is it's kind of because I was like a college naysayer for a while, right? Like if I have Brian Vahaly coming out of college, at a certain moment in time, you outperforming and getting to the top 40 was like an outlier result for the college players. And now it seems like it is the minor league system. It is the training ground. It is, I don't have to worry about the practice partner at Davis Cup being a college player, therefore not being able to play sets competitively, right?
Yep.
What is the USTA's relationship, and what role does college tennis play in player development now? And is that a relationship that works together, or is it kind of like a handoff?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm clearly a big believer in college tennis, and I think it's a massive, inspiring journey for our youth. If you think about what gets a lot of kids into tennis, the reason that I got into tennis was the dream of getting a college scholarship. What I will say, certainly over these last few years in an NIL world, is we're seeing more and more coaches having the opportunity to bring in foreign players that are 25, 26, 27 years old who are coming off of the tour with an NIL deal. And that's starting to take away scholarship opportunities for some of our youth. And so it's sort of hit us in a couple different ways. When we think about collegiate tennis, is it great that 38 collegiate players played in the main draw of Wimbledon? Absolutely. And we love the high performance player development side. But I do get concerned a little bit as we think about the eligibility for college tennis and who's playing it to ensure that it is a healthy pipeline for our youth. Because if we're trying to drive more players and youth and inspire them, college tennis is a big part of that.
I hear that argument a lot. That's like you're taking away from something. And I kind of view it, and tell me if I'm way off base here, I kind of view it as we're actually expediting the process of what real competition looks like. Right? Like you can is it about feeling good and being the best on your team, because you're playing someone that's from 3 states away? It's hard to argue with the college players that are coming through in the American ones. Is there an argument to say that maybe it's not broken, maybe it just forces us to be better quicker?
Listen, I have a lot of questions about eligibility. Are we trying to make college tennis a minor league tour?
It is.
It is, and I think the question is ultimately, are we losing opportunities for some of our American youth who are not ready to go out on tour? You were ready at 17. You were an outlier there. There were many of us who needed to go, and there's a lot of, you look at John Isner among many players who needed those 4 years.
John Isner needed to go to school.
Yeah.
Clip it, Mike. Send it out.
Listen, we need opportunities for our young American players to play college tennis. It cannot just be a minor league professional system. I think there's room for both.
Yeah. But I want to add to that. The challenge is actually that programs have been dropped, so no one's getting the opportunity because the money is going towards NIL. So I actually think it's a bit of a crisis. I think that we got to lean in big time and find a way to stop those programs from being dropped because those are the opportunities.
One of the big things you mentioned it when you were coming up, Brian, is the growth of participation in this country in tennis, and the 35 by 35 is great because it's pretty easy to remember. You really lined it up for us right there. But what are the actual strategies that go into growth? Right? Is the number because of things that you have implemented? Is it because COVID happened and we didn't want to be next to each other, but we still wanted to have the fellowship of sports? Like, what are the actual drivers of this program besides marketing and things that I can remember?
Our marketing campaign. Listen, did COVID help? Absolutely. It helped a lot of our racket sports, and I'd say in general it brought a ton of people back to tennis who had stepped away for a period of time. So I think that was the initial start. What I would say for us strategically, we're trying to get more dollars down at the local level. So instead of big programs, just focusing on leagues and tournaments, what is it that's needed at the local grassroots level that actually gets people to play? So what support do coaches need to run better businesses, to become better coaches? For facilities that have become outdated over the last 15, 20 years, how do we resurface them? Because we have data that suggests a resurfaced court adds play by 20 to 25%. And so for us, we're thinking a lot more about the customer itself, who's actually down there, what is the player, what do they need, what drives them to play, and then how do we create circumstances like a great coach or great courts that are nearby that would encourage them to play. And we feel pretty strongly as we put more dollars down closer to where there's actual play, I think that's a sign of the results we've had over the last few years.
Well, I'll tell you, if you, that's a round of applause for that one. That was great. I'll tell you, and I'm curious your opinion on this, Craig, because as a tournament director, when you see I call them the Avengers, like the one-namers, like the Rafas, the Rogers, the Serenas.
Roddicks.
No. No, when you say Andy, people are like Murray. It's like the opposite of a one-namer. But as that happens, like you would have owned my house if you would have told me that viewership, attendance, all of these kind of obvious metrics for success for tournaments, for TV, et cetera, go up when the biggest names in the world leave. That does not make sense to me. How has that happened? And then how do you take kind of the strategies that have helped the Australian Open grow and apply them here?
Well, that's the reason why it's a great look at things, because we have to look at these events as why they're there. They're there to grow and promote the sport. And if you're investing in growing and promoting the sport, it actually probably doesn't matter who the top players are. The same feeling I had when the great American players went, and then there was going to be a gap, and then you had even now with Roger and Rafa and Serena retiring, those three, I think there was going to be a gap, and there hasn't been a blip in the radar at all. It's continued to grow, but the events have become events unto themselves because the focus has been getting. If you get people to play the game, the people that are playing the game are buying tickets to go and watch the game. So invest in getting more people to play the game, and you'll have a great opportunity for them to come to the event, because the event is also more about tennis, it's about the experience, about the place to go. And if they happen to see a great player, that's also an advantage. And that's how things have changed.
Hey, listen, I'll support anyone who had the initiative to put a bar next to an actual competition court. So you have my vote of confidence. As you look at this job, one of the things that pops to my mind is, Australia, you said it, it's the bottom of the earth. If you've been to how many people have been to the Australian Open in this room? Okay, so fair amount. It is the epicenter of the country during those 2 weeks, right? The US Open is massive, but it's a big place, right? The weather systems in Florida are different than player development in Oregon, so the obvious thing that will be different is scale. Does that matter, or is it about strategies and implementation, and the scale will take care of itself?
I think the US Open is an unbelievable event, and the best sporting event in the US. There's no question about that.
I agree.
And the biggest, by the way, and the biggest. So what more do we do with it? Well, I think there's a massive opportunity as we look into it, is that how do we use the US Open more to grow and promote the sport? How do we connect it to the community more? What experiences do we provide for the fans that come that actually want to repeat that experience, because it's just not so much about the game, but it's also about entertainment. And so I think there's massive opportunities for it, and there's people in this room, Danny's one, that have done an unbelievable job in ensuring that we've got great facilities. And in 2027, 2026 and 2027, when the new facilities are unveiled, the fans that come are going to go again, great, these guys are investing in my experience. So we're going to see more of that for sure.
Fantastic. So, producer Mike, I think should we do some Q&A? Do you guys have some questions for anyone? Just say yes. Just say yes.
Yeah. So we'll do some Q&A. The way it's going to work is Techie Sean is going to walk around. Why don't you guys go ahead and put your hands up if you want to ask a question. Techie Sean's going to come around and pick a few people. There's a microphone in this aisle. Go ahead and line up. We'll do 4 or 5 of them. But before we get to that, we have a question from a huge fan who couldn't make it today, who happens to be pretty good at asking questions professionally. Let's go ahead and roll it.
Craig, first of all, congrats. Anyone who has seen you and your work ethic up close and personal, or seen the growth of the Australian Open from afar, knows how meaningful a hire this is. Here's a question I'm wondering. We all know the virtues and the values of tennis, but we are adults. I want to ask you about kids. Tennis is hard to master. Matches on TV last a long time. Tennis can be solitary. What are your plans to foster a growth, a love, and appreciation of tennis among kids in the United States?
I don't answer the question, he won't know. So
I mean, I'll tell him, but yeah.
Okay. No, John will get you eventually. I think that's the crux of anything, is that youth tennis, getting kids into the game, how access, how do you make it easy, how do you make it fun, how do you make it social? But we've got some great virtues in this game, is boys and girls, co-ed tennis can play together. You've got a pathway through high school, you can go into college. So we've got some great assets to take maximum advantage of. And so I think the objective and the team, they're doing a great job. There's more that we can accelerate on, but the first question is, how do we make it as easy as possible for a kid to get to a tennis court? And when they get there, how do we make it as fun as possible? And you do that through social tennis, you do that through team tennis, and you do that through making sure you have some organized play as well. So I don't think there's any question that there's going to very soon be more kids playing the game than we've ever seen before. And the research will tell you that if there's a young player that plays the game just at least once, there's a 90% chance they're going to come back to playing the game at some point in their life.
Is that true?
That's true.
That's a great stat.
There may be a break in there where they have a family or they do some things, but they will come back to the game. So the importance of investing in getting people into the game, that's why it's so critical. And that's why we have a great opportunity here. We have great weather, courts across the country, so we have no excuse to get more kids playing the game.
Andy, if I may.
No.
Thank you for that. Listen, we both have young kids. My boys right here in the front row have played and tested a lot of different sports. And the reality is a lot of parents are the ones driving that ability and that access for them. And so oftentimes we feel like in tennis, it requires a tennis coach, which ultimately brings a higher level of fees associated with getting your players involved. And so, yes, do I think kids want to play in a team format? Absolutely. So doing that younger, I think, is really important. But secondly, we've got to teach parents they can actually teach their kids how to play tennis, get them out there, get them started.
It looks like we at least have a couple of questions. Please tell us your name and question.
Thank you.
Aim your question.
Christine Mendeville. Just want to ask one question. What's one piece of advice that you could give all three of you to me for a competitive player that you learned only after playing professionally and being a professional coach?
The easiest one, and I don't even know that it was from when I was a pro. I think that like one of the few things like I was very, very, very good at was controlling the controllables. Right? I can't control wind. I can't control this other person's line calls. I can't control what their parents are saying. I can't control if my coach didn't show up. I can't control what are the pieces that I can control, and I was obsessive about that, right? Whether it was sleep training, becoming obsessed with working on a shot, so I would only lose to Roger or closer. I think there's a lot of focus on things that are out of someone's control, like 90% of the time, if you ask a tennis parent or a lot of times even tennis coaches, how did they do? And they'll go, they lost. This thing happened, and they go into this whole story, and you never really hear, you know what, we need to work on this instead. It's always kind of some story about the thing. So controlling the controllables is the simplest thing. It's something that will land with someone who's 5 or 50, hopefully.
Look, a competitive casual player is the person who has the biggest impact on how you start in the sport and how much energy you have in it is normally the coach. And so if you're in an environment, if I look back, if you're in an environment where you're not kind of connecting with the coach, there's no problem, find another one and keep finding one that you really connect with. Because if you connect with a coach, then of course, sky's the limit.
For me, it was always about what was going on in my mind. You know, I wasn't the tallest or strongest or had the best shots. Andy's now reminded everyone of that.
You had a great backhand.
Thanks.
That was the best shot.
But listen, I always wanted to have really thoughtful control over where my head was at. And so for me, even if I was losing to an opponent, I understood that they were bringing a strategy. I just tried to really keep myself calm and disciplined about what I knew, what it took to succeed, and do a really nice job of putting the last point behind me.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
All right.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Carol Allen. I live in South Carolina, and I'm a Southern Section volunteer. Thank you for being here. It's our honor. Andy Roddick, Craig Tiley, thank you very much. My question is this to Craig. Brian, we love you.
I know we know each other. You could at least say it's an honor.
No, we love you. I'm coming
Something.
to you.
Yeah.
To Craig Tiley. The USTA has really been on the forefront of continuing to uphold its mission towards diversity, equity, and inclusion, and growing participation in tennis and leadership opportunities in tennis for diverse populations. Our president, Brian Vahaly, has been incredible in this. Incredible. So my question to you, Craig, thanks for letting me call you Craig, is can you speak to how your experience in Illinois as well as in Australia have kind of prepared you to help us, this engaged group of exciting volunteers, to help us to continue on our mission to promote diversity in tennis?
Great question, and that's the beauty of our game. It provides us with the platform to be inclusive to everyone. But it's on us to make sure that we put not only the programs, but the pathways and the opportunities in place that we absolutely promoting inclusivity of the game. It's what we have over everyone. And I'm incredibly passionate about it on every single level, and I've been fortunate. I've been around some great people that have taught me the importance, not only the importance of it, but how to do it. And I think that the US have led the way globally on their approach to it, but there's opportunity for more, and I look forward to doing that. And I know that the only way you can have an impact or make a difference is if you have a team approach to it. No one person can do it. So thanks for the question and the reminder.
Thank you.
Adam Ross, USTA Florida. I want to say thank you to Andy, Craig, and you, Brian, of course.
Thank you.
For being here. I would have worn my served hat if I knew I was going to be here. And producer Mike, great job.
He literally hasn't done anything.
My computer's turned off.
But it's a great podcast. It's really awesome. I encourage everyone to check it out. But my question is for Craig. We're so lucky to have you here to joining the USTA. What are some of the most exciting things you're looking forward to as you take on the mantle of the USTA?
Well, first of all, like you, I'm still a volunteer because I'm not yet working for the USTA. So the most exciting thing is getting to learn more about what it's to be like a volunteer. So the next 2 months I'll be doing that. But I think, and I hope this doesn't sound cliched, is I love being around people. I love interacting. So the thing I'm most excited about is getting to know everyone, understand what everyone does, find out what the challenges are, where the opportunities are. And I've already spent the last day and a half, I think, speaking to everyone and listening to everyone, and identified some things that I think are going to be really fun to work on. So that's the thing that I'm most excited about. And then probably secondly is there's such a big opportunity to make a massive impact. And I would love to walk every street across America and people, and I will know that people in that town are all playing tennis. And so that's not a dream, that's a reality, and we're going to get there.
Well, thank you, and wishing you the best of luck.
Thank you.
So this is so there's a clock in the back, and it says we're done in 15 seconds, but the two bosses next to me are here, so you guys just tell me. I don't care. I have nothing to do. You guys are busy. I say keep the party going.
Hi, I'm Sam Roy. I'm a volunteer from USC Eastern. First, hi, Andy.
Hi.
Inner Sam is freaking out. I started playing more tennis the year you won the championship, so this is crazy. But hi. My question is, as there are currently 3 men sitting on this stage, Craig, have you considered how you will be bringing more women into the leadership of USTA at all levels?
And absolutely. And maybe I should just give a bit of a snapshot. Back in Australia, when I started in the leadership role, I was a founding member of Champions of Change. And what it was leaders that were in a position to make decisions, is the decisions they made about ensuring that there were more women in senior leadership and more women on boards. And when I did start there, of the 90 section board members, of those 86 were men. And when I left, 50%. So of the 90, 45 were men and 45 were women. On our board, similarly, we had, when I started, there was 1 woman on our board. And again, when I left, there's more women on the board than there are men. And then similarly in our senior leadership team. And so the question comes, and I think the answer is that there's two challenges. Pay equity is one, and the other one is women in leadership. And I think it's on everyone, man or woman, to make sure that we're addressing that. And if Billie Jean King was sitting here, and she'll tell you those exact 2 things as well. And I have a great deal of respect for her. I was actually on a a USTA committee, a collegiate committee with Billie Jean. We were co-chairs back quite a while ago, so I do appreciate and understand it. But thank you for that question, and you'll have my commitment, that's for sure.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing it.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Cornell, and I've been on the adult competition committee for many years. I'm kind of like a dinosaur on the committee. And Andy, I will listen to your show every time it's on while I'm either brushing my teeth or shaving.
Ouch.
And I love it. My wife has got to love it too. And anyway, my thoughts are this. Years ago, we used to have the US Open sectional qualifying tournament. And every player from each section played in, well, first of all, they played in their sectional tournament. And whoever won that tournament played in a sectional tournament. And this was the sectional championships, and it was in Orlando. And that player went on to, whoever won that from the 16 sections went on to, I'm not sure where. But I'm thinking that the US Open, to be really, and Craig, you're such an innovator. You might think this idea is way out there, and it is. But the winner of this sectional qualifying would get a wild card into the qualifying of the US Open. And I can see, Mr. Fowler and maybe Andy at the broadcast saying, this is really, truly an open tournament. This was open to thousands of players, and now we've whittled down to the final two. But can you see the marketing of having a player just walking around with a T-shirt that said, I played in the US Open qualifying?
I have a counteroffer.
Andy, of course.
Okay. I couldn't beat one player in qualifying now, so they have to play me to get in before they get the wild card. And if I beat them, then go home.
The line will be out the door.
I will tell you though. I think there is a real opportunity. I think the mixed doubles was innovative. I think singles on the pro level is maybe a bit of a different animal. I think maybe there's a lane where there's mixed doubles into mixed doubles, and maybe there's a qualifying and 4 teams, and I don't know. That would seem more feasible to me than playing some guy serving 147. I don't know that would do much for the argument of you're saying these are great champions. And I'm not great at math, but if there are a bunch of sections, I think there's a limitation on the amount of wildcards. Right?
You'd only have one.
Well, I would beat their ass and then there'd be 0. I think there's a real lane for the mix or something of that sort. Craig, go ahead, tell him. Are you going to give it to him?
Don't put him on the spot,
Not
Andy.
singles.
That's what we do on our show. Come on.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Singles
There's
is
a
tough.
lane.
But can you see Craig Fowler just talking, on TV?
I can see him, but then what he would do is he would ask the question to Johnny Mack, and that would be a whole nother ballgame.
That's right.
We appreciate your question. Thanks for all your
And
time.
And you look. My wife says you look like a young Bill Clinton.
A young Bill Clinton. I always get Stifler, but okay.
Not you,
Yeah.
Craig.
Yeah, he was the guy in American Pie.
Hi, I'm Mariko Fritz-Crocco. Craig, Brian previously showed a slide of a statistic that you grew tennis participation in Australia by 30%. What are some specific initiatives that you could implement here that might resonate to the US audience as well?
That's you.
Everything's different. They're different, but I think the similarities would be aggressively going after school tennis, high school tennis. Was great platforms for growth for us, and the introduction of tennis in elementary schools and working through with all the, as part of the, in Australia, as part of a curriculum, you have to pick a sport. So we just made sure that every kid picked tennis as one of their 2 sports they did annually. So that's probably the biggest, was the biggest avenue to increase participation. And then with each of the clubs and the coaches we incentivized the coaches through a reward and recognition program on how they grew their programs and how they grew how they grew their participation, and monitoring that and constantly doing reward and recognition around it. So there would be a number of different techniques. There are currently some initiatives that are happening here that are making us get to that 27.3 million players, but we're going to have to keep coming up with more to keep it getting to 35 million, because it's at some point it potentially could slow down, and we've got to be ready for that.
All right, we're going to say last two, because I know Techie Sean doesn't care about what I say anymore.
Andy, Craig, Chairman. My name is Demetra Curry.
Like that?
God, how did this happen?
Like that?
How did this happen, Brian?
My name is Demetra Curry. I'm the volunteer on the advocacy committee, and I'm from the Southwest section. My question is to Craig. First of all, thank you so much for saying yes to leading the USTA family. We really appreciate that.
Thank you. It's a privilege. Thank you.
My question, you have transformed the Australian Open through fan experiences and innovations. What do you see are the most urgent innovations for the US Open as well as USTA year-round programming?
How will he answer this?
No one listens to our show. You're fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. We know how that goes. Look, that's a great question, and I think, in fairness, that's a question to ask and with the broader team, because there's many initiatives that have been planned and some great surprises that are coming up for this year's Open, which I won't talk about because I haven't been told them yet, but I know they're coming. But I think there will be more. One of it is we're thinking of switching the date. Just want to see everyone's reaction. No, not at all. I just want to see if everyone's listening. But
it seems like that date's not really working for the tournament.
Yeah, no, it's not.
It's a good call.
Exactly. No. So
you might stay a volunteer.
I did open that up. But there's some great things that the team at the US Open are doing, and the great thing about there's some more opportunity to do some more great things. I would definitely like to see a big connection between the community, a much bigger connection between the community and the Open. It was mentioned some of the questions earlier, and I think there's an opportunity to do that there. But generally, my approach on life is as Andy said, take some big swings, have a go at some things, and I think that the US Open very soon will become not only the most innovative Grand Slam or innovative tennis event, but easily the most innovative and forward-thinking global event.
Thank you.
All right, you're finishing this up. Here we go.
And I promise to be quick.
Let's
my
do
name
it.
is Eric from the Mid-Atlantic section, fellow UVA grad. Go Who's. Andy, my wife and I were almost newlyweds. We went to the 2001 French Open. We sat and watched you play a 4-hour second-round match against Michael Chang. You started cramping horribly in the fifth set with the claw hand and the faces. You won it 7-5, one of the gutsiest matches we've ever seen. Do you remember that match? And are there other pivotal matches that you remember from your career?
I'll tell you the coolest thing about that match, and thank you for your question. So the way you described it is perfect. I never cramped like that. I learned about the importance of diet very quickly during that match. But what I'll tell you that nobody saw from that match is we shake hands, and I'll tell you the first match that I ever sat down and watched start to finish in my life was Chang versus Lendl at the 1989 French Open of the underhand served fame, right? So I saw Chang cramp and win a match, and then I found myself, however many years, 12 years later, 12 years later, doing the exact same thing against him. So it's one of those that kind of those years where you start playing the people that you've idolized will never be normal for me. But what nobody saw is we shook hands, and Michael instantly started giving me advice on how to recover from cramps for the next match, and that continued into the locker room after the match when I'm trying to get hydrated and do this. He has his bags packed. He's leaving. I mean, at that point, in his career. I don't know if he knew that he was coming back to this place that had defined so much of his legacy. And on the way out the door, he found it. He found it that he should come to us and give us 5 or 10 minutes of his time on best practices, on how to recover for the next one before saying good match and good luck, right? Not bitter that I was making a whole show of it, not bitter that I had cramped and somehow got through it. But that the power of tennis is like, that's why I'm obsessed with this game, is like those moments that nobody sees. My takeaways from this panel.
Hey, before you go, can guests ask questions?
Sure.
Okay.
We have literally, we don't know what we're doing. Go ahead.
It's like free flowing. Is that all right, Mike? That's okay. Yeah, good. Okay. Actually, this is not planned, by the way. So, but
none of it was.
No, but I want to ask you a question, because that question about that particular match, but then also a bit about the USTA Annual match. But when in 1990, I was in Abilene, Texas, with a group of young Texas players. Your brother was playing. Yeah.
They're from Connecticut.
And I drove from Tyler, Texas. It's a very interesting drive. There's lots to see. But when but there was a young kid, a young blonde kid. The Roddick family was at this event. There was a young blonde kid hitting against the wall. I think he was 7 or 8 years old, around about then. And I remember clearly that I got the kids in the van. We went to get something to eat. We came back, and you were still hitting against the wall. It was like you were trying to beat the wall. You were breathing out. You were going crazy. And then I had the privilege of watching in 2003 in the 5th set you playing Ines Elnoui in what then in the Open era was the longest 5th set ever on record. I think he ended up winning that match. It was 23-21 or something like that. It was
21-19.
21-19.
Which sounded like a big number before Isner and Mahut decided not to break each other for days.
Yeah, but that was tennis, the Elnoui match. But what advice would you give young kids? That's a little bit about the bookend of your story and the effort and just the amount of intensity you put into everything you did. But what advice would you give young kids today that are thinking about the game?
Yeah, I mean, I hear a lot about courts, and I hear a lot about, and all of those things are true. Obviously, if there's more hours in the day and lights are up, you're going to get more participation. And if you go to a place and it feels good, and they don't have cracks, and it feels worthy of your time, like all of those things matter. And also, like, if there's a wall available, paint a net on it. Honestly, like the simple things, and the things I've kind of written down, it's the biggest thing, whether it's participation, whether it's how to grow the game, it comes down to points of exposure, right? I mean, it comes down to, you mentioned in schools, or is it taking someone and they're inspired because they watched tennis for the first time? We don't care how people get into tennis. I don't care. I mean, maybe you have ideas, we may have a preference. As long as they have a positive memory, to your point, they're gonna come back to it. And this is where I need to give credit to this room, right? There's 1,100 people here. I think 90+% are volunteers, staff. It starts with you in this room, so give yourselves a round of applause for your contribution to tennis. Us with the microphones and talking trash and having fun and doing all this, it doesn't happen without you starting the fire on the ground level. So thank you for having me. Best of luck, Craig. Brian, enjoy someone else doing the job so you can maybe spend some more time with your beautiful kids. How are you guys not on roller coasters? All right, Brian.
They already were.
Okay, they were.
They were earlier.
Splash Mountain 77 times.
Yep.
Good luck with everything, Craig. I've said it on our show before, but if you were willing, no-brainer of a hire in my mind based on your credentials and what you've done. I even say that when you're not around. But also, thank you to you all for the time that you put into this great game that we all love. This has been served. We'll see you next week.
AI is only as powerful as the platform it's built on. With the ServiceNow AI platform, your AI, data, and workflows all work together, connecting every corner of your business. To see how you can put AI to work for people, visit servicenow.com/AI-agents.